I get visions, and today I woke up with vision that I need to appeal to Black African Canadians. I know that there is a situation in this country that you have no way of ever finding out about. It took me till I was 75, and I have been a human rights activist, rights for all races, all children, all men, all women, anti-fraud laws, spousal rights, women's rights. There is nothing that I didn't fight for, and there is nothing I didn't put my mouth to and my money, and I failed. Because we have secret filing laws in this country, and it's not a democracy. Now, I have tried to reach white Canada all my life because they're the ones who had the power, or so I thought. But I don't have much time left. I'm 78. I'm dying by inches. That's a story I'm not going to go into. It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook. If you're interested, you can look it up. My biography is on Google Docs on Facebook called Rights for All. You can look that up. But what I want to do in a nutshell is warn you blacks in Canada. Educate your children. Our political system is not the same as the United States. We watch too much American TV, and you won't find out about the truth through a lawyer. Been there, done that. All they did was rob me. Now listen to me, please. Take a look. I was white privileged, beautiful, genius, well-educated, made all kinds of money. And I wound up on the streets homeless more than once because of a disease that there is no cure and no treatment, called Parkinsonism. And it's caused by Health Canada. And I fought for the right to know what's in our food for children with allergies like me, and I failed. Nobody's listening and nobody cares. But here's what you need to know. As an individual, all the marching up the streets won't do a thing to change anything in Canada. Yes, it can in the United States because their political system is not secret. But in Canada, you can be raped by a policeman, which I was. You can be robbed of your home, which I was. You can be divorced in secret, which my mother was. You can have a false mortgage that robs you of your home. Anyone can put title to your property in real estate anywhere in Canada but Saskatchewan. And the police will not lift a finger to help you because secret filing is a Roman law, 2,000 years old. And it's so criminal, it is banned in every country but Canada. Now, as a black person, you need to make sure your children understand this is not a political system in which they can win a lawsuit against the government. No individual in law in Canada has the right to sue the government for anything. No. Only a member of parliament can change the law. No lawyer, but they won't tell you that. You see, a lawyer didn't lie to me, and he took $70,000 off of me. I gave him $10,000 to fight Sudbury police for beating up a young man and causing brain damage. And I gave him that money so that he would get publicity. Because otherwise, all the victims of all the crimes in Canada, they are invisible. Our Native people, they are invisible. And you black people, listen to me. I was asked to be the first woman stockbroker on Bay Street by a Jewish man who had to hire a man with the name of Davidson to get a stock, to be allowed to have a seat on the stock exchange because Jews weren't allowed a seat on the stock exchange in Ontario. You need to know that our laws are criminal and secret filing has to be banned. And full transparency, whether it's the police or a victim of fraud, you have to at least have the right to be notified that you're being robbed. Now listen to me. Train your children. Spread the word across Canada to your community. Secret filing is legal in Canada. Our court system is legally completely corrupt. No lawyer will change the law. No individual has the right to sue the government to change the law. So don't spend 78 years like I did, barking up against a wall and not knowing what the laws were. And I was well educated. I was a real estate agent, and I didn't know that anybody could put their name on title. And yeah, you can be divorced in secret in this country. If you're married, they can sever joint tenancy on the matrimonial home. And if you're a husband, you might have a right. But if you're a wife, there is no spousal right for you, except in Saskatchewan. That's the law. And when you die, an executor has the right to take ownership title to everything you own and sell it without even notifying the heirs in secret. Do you see what I'm trying to tell you? So if you want equality and you want justice, you have to go after the law of secret filing and get it banned. And don't trust any member of parliament to say they'll help you. I have spent all kinds of money in the last several years writing to every media coast to coast, to every member of parliament coast to coast, to every legal blog coast to coast, to every federal member of parliament and every leader of every political party in Canada. Doug Ford promised to do something about secret filing because it is so unjust, it's criminal, and I proved it, and I have the evidence. And when he got in power, he forgot I existed. Jamie Weston in Canada, in Sudbury, Ontario, same thing. So I voted for him. But he lied. He did nothing. So no lawyer, no protest, nothing works. You have to become members of parliament and you have to take over the parliament. And you got to ban secret filing laws. And you got to make sure you vote for somebody black who's not greedy and not selfish, who's going to decide, oh, I'm going to use the system to make myself rich like Brian Mulroney did. Okay? Don't trust anybody. Make sure the person that you are going to educate understands that what you're educating them for is to get legal justice, to get secret filing banned. And once secret filing is banned and there's full transparency, you have a right to access to all the files. You have the right to be notified before the fraud is committed. You suddenly have all kinds of rights that you don't have right now. And the truth is, you already have those rights in the United States. But the blacks didn't know how to educate their children well enough to know that the only way they're going to get justice is they have to do what I'm talking about. They have to become politicians. They have to become members of Congress. And they have to take over all of the House committees. It's the only way. Legally, it's the only way. And if they're smart, you'll ban those stupid gun laws. Don't get me started on that one, Trudi. Be quiet. And I'm going to share with you, as a white privileged Canadian, that I was brutalized, tortured, held hostage, repeatedly anal raped. Police wouldn't investigate. My father divorced my mother in secret with severance. She lost the matrimonial home and half the rights to the estates without even the right to be notified. So you see, that's the same as divorce. If you go to divorce, you get half of everything. The only difference in Canada, you can do it in secret, and you don't find out until the spouse dies. Married 61 years, and she winds up at 95 to discover she doesn't own anything that she thought she owned. And that was decades after he was already dead. But my brother knew, so he put his name on title to everything. And he did that without our having the right to be notified. So he embezzled the estate funds, took all the money, committed fraud, income tax fraud, and he got away with it. Police wouldn't even lay a charge. They wouldn't even investigate. So his crime, well, I don't stay silent. It's on Facebook, it's on website, and it's on YouTube. Not that anybody gives a shit. I had the opportunity of a lifetime to be the first woman stockbroker on Bay Street. But I've never been about money. I've always been about rights for all. So I turned it down because I said it's like betting on the horses. And I didn't want to be responsible for anyone losing their money. Was that a smart decision? No, it wasn't. But I thought this was a democracy. And I really thought that I could get human rights for the children and for against child abuse and the priests raping boys. And I left the church when I was 13. I don't pray to anything born on the planet. I want you to know. You pray to who you want. I pray to God of the universe. If it didn't create the universe, I don't get on my knees to it. Nothing born on the planet. No thanks. I don't worship anything born on the planet. And because of my gypsy at heart, even though I'd been crippling since I was 6 years old, I was a gifted dancer. And I very quickly became friends with the Jamaican and the Trinidadian community in Toronto. Love the music. I gotta move. Love the drums. Steel drums. Bongo drums. Anything. They used to joke and say to me, Trudy, you sure you don't got some black blood in you? I even researched my own history to find out if there was. No, sorry, there isn't. I don't know where it comes from because no one in the family, in the 400 years of history that I researched into my family tree, is anything like me. I am gifted at hypnogenetic imagery analysis. That means I can research anything. Even now I could research real estate if I wanted to, and I know where you could make money and where you're going to lose money, and I can, for me, that's not even a vision. I do get visions. I'm not going to talk about that here, but that's on my autobiography. But yeah, but I was never about making money. All I cared about was human rights. To at least get some human rights before I die. To leave the world a better place before I die. And I'm going to die soon, so that's not going to happen. So I'm appealing to the Black community to please know I'm not just some white broad. I met and fell in love with a beautiful Black man, a lawyer. I'm not sure the year, somewhere between 1964 when I met Elizabeth Taylor. And I'm name dropping, but see, that's the circles I ran in. And it didn't save me from a fate worse than death, so get ready. And I was trained as a model. And if I didn't look good, I wouldn't be hired. So I had incredible opportunities. I'm very sick. I can't walk today. I haven't been outside in 2 months. I'm in quarantine for the rest of my life. I've lived in a gas mask 34 years, but I have to pretty myself up for you. Because if I look ugly, you're not going to like me. Probably won't like me anyway, but at least I try. Yeah. And on the other hand, I do it for me. I don't like to look at myself ugly and sick. So I pretty myself up. So as I'm talking to you, I'm talking to me. Yes, that lawyer, he was so beautiful. When I think of him, I get goosebumps. And his parents loved me. And I don't know why. I couldn't understand why. It didn't make any sense to me. My parents don't love me. But I'd already seen too much. And I said to him, I can't talk about this in front of your parents. I don't want to hurt them. So we went to somewhere, I'm not sure. Might have been the steps of the Parliament. It's like a dream, or Osgoode Hall, or somewhere in the park of Toronto University. I'm not sure. But I know that it was near downtown. And I can't even tell you his name because I lost all memory at the age of 42. And I have little flashback memories. I have traumatized memories. Some good, some bad, and some extremely brutal. And I can't go there because my brain goes into a freeze, psychic freeze, if I even think about the brutality and the violence that I was a victim of. And I explained to him, if you marry me, your career is doomed. Our racism isn't like Americans. We don't stick a gun in your face and shoot you. We're very quiet about it. We just make sure you don't get the job. We make sure you don't get the career. We make sure you don't make the money. We make sure your children don't get the education or the grants. They sabotage you. They will destroy you. I watched a brilliant musician lose his career because he dared to marry a white woman. And do you think that that marriage lasted? No, of course not. Not that I ever thought that he or his parents would abandon me. And I told him, I said, I'm saying no because I love you. Now you go to a Baptist church. And I'd spent a lot of time in the Baptist church. I even once wrote a little book on Queen Charlotte so that black children would know that there was black blood in the royals and that they had something to be proud of. They weren't all born slaves and they weren't all born in poverty. Why did I think that was important? You should have seen the look on those children's faces when they read that book. I made them very happy. I bounce around. I'm sorry. But I told him, you marry a black girl that's religious, preferably Baptist, works in the community of the black community, in the church, and you will have as powerful a career as a black lawyer as possible in Ontario. But if you dare to marry a white girl, your parents will suffer, your career will suffer, and your children will suffer. And he promised me he would marry a black girl. I said, there's many, many beautiful black women. Take your time. You will find one that's worthy of your love. To this day, if things had been different and I'd been married to a lawyer, would my life have been different? No. He would have had to have been a member of Parliament to get done what I needed to get done at the federal level to bring equal rights laws and banned secret filing. But I didn't go after that because I wasn't educated to know that those laws existed. It took a woman in Newfoundland, St. John's, to tell me that, and I was 75 years old when I found it out. And you know what? She's white, she's privileged, she's a published author, and she wouldn't lift a finger to do anything about the law. My current lawyer, when we first met, he's an older man, he didn't see anything wrong with it. I said, oh yeah? Supposing your daughter married someone like my father, and she is with 2 children, and he severs the joint tenancy, and your daughter has worked her butt off so that they have amassed this real estate fortune worth millions of dollars. And when he dies, 18 years later, she finds out that the severance has left her with properties that she thought she owned. She took her life savings and she renovated the properties, and she didn't own them, and she had no way of getting her money back. And that half the money was left to somebody else. It doesn't even have to be a member of the family. How would you feel? It's your daughter. She's been divorced in secret. Do you see my point? I upset him. He didn't answer me. And we've never talked about it again. The only thing he said to me was, I've done a lot of severance in secret. And that never occurred to me. I said, why would it? You weren't educated to think about the consequences of your actions. The majority of lawyers don't even know that it's legal. And the ones that do, they just do it. They don't think twice about it. Do they research the law to find out that it was banned in England 100 years ago? In fact, it was banned by King Charles II. Only it didn't come into law for some reason. It got omitted and overlooked. So when England took over Canada, French law went out the window and in came British law, which is Roman law. There's no such thing as British law. It's all Roman law. And in 1925, England banned secret filing. And in 1989, the Saskatchewan law came into effect that fully protects spousal rights, that fully protects your right to all information. Secret filing is completely banned. And although the police are doing a very good job of killing natives up there in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, they can't do it in secret. It gets made public. Not that there's a charge laid against them. They don't go to jail. Yeah. Welcome to Canada. That's my world. So please, Black African Canadians, hear what I'm saying to you. Educate your children. Become members of Parliament and go after the law. It's the only way you're ever going to get justice here. The parliamentary system is not a democracy because once the party leader becomes the prime minister, one man calls the shots. And nobody, not even a member of Parliament, can bring him down. You think about that. And you start to understand the political system in which you live. The police, I'm not saying there wasn't the occasional decent policeman who did what he could to help me. Wasaga Beach, Sergeant Lake, Chief of Police, Collingwood, helped me get a 16-year-old boy out of jail that was there illegally on trumped up charges. Yeah, he was a young black boy, guilty of nothing. Didn't make the media. But in Toronto, all that violence that I endured, held hostage, no police would lift a finger. My disease was caused by canola oil and Canadian food. I got my memory back through raw okra, not cooked. It rejuvenates the brain cells. And then I had to relearn how to speak. I had to relearn how to make a sentence. And that took me 24 years. And I did it for rights for all. I didn't consider just blacks, just whites, just children, just women, just natives. I have lived and died my life, rights for all. But especially right now, with what's going on, and the evidence of what's going on with racism in Canada, or the lack of evidence. Secret filing is your enemy. Canadian legal court system is your enemy. Canadian parliamentary political system is your enemy. And guide yourself accordingly. And God of the universe, my prayer to you is, may you, just one person out there, do what I failed to do and get full transparency, the right to know legislation, right to know what's in your food, the right to know when somebody is committing fraud in your home, the right to know that the severance is being done. And when it comes to the matrimonial home, be kind. Do what Saskatchewan did. Look at Saskatchewan laws. That's really where you want to go. And I have all that on YouTube. My websites will die when I die, and Facebook will disappear the day I die. Like that. So I spent 22 years, no, 24, to get all that evidence. And my only hope was YouTube. So I'm leaving this with you now. There is hope. But you have a dangerously low immune system from the decades of poverty and bad diet and being poisoned. And that is the one thing. I may not look black, but my immune system is like yours. And you are dying. Blacks are dying 50 to 70% greater than whites. And I'm in that category because we have the same immune deficiency in us. The reason I wound up with it this way is much different than yours, perhaps. But truthfully, not really, because mine was caused by being poisoned as a child, air, food, and water and beverages, and canola oil, and bad diet. I was raised by very ignorant, covert narcissistic parents. Look it up. They're very dangerous. Every person who's in a corporation like Monsanto and Bayer and Gulf oil. They are all sociopathic, narcissistic, covert narcissistic, because they're very clever. You don't realize they're your enemy. So yes, I love you all. And may the Creator choose at least one of you. That's all I'm asking. One person could make a difference. I got gas mask equipment for the military, for the men in the mines, and the firemen. I don't get credit for it. I don't ask for credit for it. Whenever I do something, I do it from my heart and from my soul. And when I lost all my money and was left to die on the streets, I made a vow I would never work for money again as long as I lived. And if I have to starve, I will starve. But I'm not starving. 2 men in AA rescued me off the streets. One died. We will meet in the hereafter, and the other is still with me today. He's doing all the shopping. He's wearing a gas mask that I created. Oh yes, something else. You can make a gas mask that will protect you as well as others. It has to be water resistant. And that's on my YouTube channel. Look it up. And if you're really going to consider others, make sure that it's clear so that the deaf can lip read, and that the rest of the fabric is water resistant. Nylon, lycra, water resistant. You spit on the fabric, and if it doesn't go through, it will 100% protect you. And the minute you get in, you take it off, you dump it in soap for 30 minutes. Never mind the 1 minute. I put it in soap for 30 minutes. And there is a filter that you can buy, a MERV 11 dust furnace filter. Just cut it and stick it in the gas mask has to have an envelope for that. But yeah, you can be protected. Now, you can't use the filter if you have a clear face, but because it's plastic and only breathing is going to be on the outside, you don't need a filter because it's not going to come through. And how do I know that about material? Well, I was not just a dancer, and I was bloody gifted, let me tell you. I had men who had danced with Rita Hayworth, and they said I was just like her. I had a gypsy in my soul. But because of the paralyzing attacks, I couldn't make it to Broadway. Oh yes, I was asked to be on Broadway. I was that good. In the middle of rehearsals, I took a paralyzing attack. Bang, fell to the floor on the stage like a stone. They had to carry me out. And a Jamaican family took me home. They were Seventh-day Adventists, and they took care of me. They thought I'd had some kind of drug overdose. But I didn't drink because drinking affected me in such a bad way that I couldn't dance. And the only time I could breathe, I'm 5 years old, and I couldn't breathe. 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd put on my snowsuit and go out and roll around in the snow so I could breathe and bring down the pain. I live with pain beyond anything you can imagine. And I do it without drugs. I'm 36 years clean and sober. And I have developed a diet for disease control that will save millions of children 200 years from now from my disease. And I know that. It doesn't concern me who believes me or not. because it will happen. And all that matters is that I've done what I was supposed to do. But yes, they took me home and I went on a Seventh-day Adventist diet from 1966 until 1984. But it didn't save me. And that lovely young man, when I had blood dripping down my legs in 1984, and he took me to a North York. He was from Jamaica. He was black. I don't know why they liked me so much. My own family left me on the streets to die. And this young black man rescues me. And he took me to the hospital in North York, and this white female bitch took one look at me and said, she's not bleeding enough to die. And he did the same thing. He did some kind of a poultice, I don't know what. And I was 75 when I found out it was canola oil all along. And the toxic chemicals in food. Anyway, I'm begging you. Fight for democracy. Marching's not good enough. Educate your children. Tell them the truth. The truth that I was denied. The truth that Canadians, the ones that know about it, and believe me, hundreds of thousands know about it. Every lawyer, almost, not all, but most know about it. And right now, every member of parliament sitting knows about it because I sent it to them not once, not twice, but dozens of times. And I have to end this because I'm going to get sick. Crying makes me sick. Anger makes me well. It triggers adrenaline. I'm not saying violence. No. I use anger. I use my rage to fight back, to survive. When I stop being angry, I stop caring. When I stop being angry, I stop eating. And I don't care if I die. And right now, I've lost my will to live because I don't see any future for anyone. I see 3 more pandemics on the way because the wet markets are never going to shut down. I see 5 years before half the population is taking a vaccine and the other half don't give a shit. So you're never going to get rid of the diseases that it's causing until it becomes law and everybody has to get a vaccine. And you try doing that in this age of, I have rights. Because society has gone mad with greed and selfishness and they just don't care. They don't care who they infect. They don't care who they kill. Yeah, it's murder. Again, covert murder. You see? And the victims are invisible. Anyway, enough of my ramblings. I love you, and may the creator of the universe shine upon you and your nation and all races. And no, you won't get peace be with you out of me. Fuck that shit. Fight back. Not with guns. Become members of parliament. Take over the political system. And bring democracy worldwide. That's my prayer for you, is that you have the courage and the will to get the financing, to get your children the proper education they need to survive. And they will survive. Because if I can, my immune system is your immune system. And I've come this far. I'm not saying you all have to live in a gas mask. But I am saying you're going to have to live your life differently. And fight. Don't ever give up. Keep on fighting. And remember me. I fought for you. So I want you to fight for yourselves. God bless.